Welcome to CSL Charlotte. We are Spiritual Living Charlotte, the Mind, Body, Spirit Center. So today, our talk is around the quiet center. So we'll start with a short centering, and so relax your eyes by looking into your lap, or just basically closing them if you choose. Now breathe in really deep and really long, and think about this for a minute. When you hear the lyrics of that song, I think the lyrics in that song is exactly what I'm about to teach. I trust life. I believe. I'm not chasing anymore because it names exactly what I'm about to explain, that song. No more chasing, no more performing and so that I can be good for somebody to like me. None of that. I trust life. I believe. So let's confirm that. Trust life. I believe. No more shaping yourself. And here's the thing. Everybody's shaping themselves to fit, to make somebody else comfortable. How does that work? In other words, when you give up your identity, you have to shrink to fit in somebody else's box or somebody else's world. So no more shrinking either, okay? Because your desires feel inconvenience to somebody else, it's not your problem. That season is over, that we get ready to do that. Uh-oh, yes, he said it sounds far away. What was I talking about just now? Far away, just kidding. What we're sharing here is something we value deeply. But you know what the whole thing is? I just allow anyone who feels fed by it to support it. See, our community flows and it is also sustained through your generous donations. So thank you for your part in that. And with that energy, just open your minds and your hearts to the quiet center. You know what the quiet center really is now. We've said it so many times. It's sitting with yourself. So wiggle your fingers and your toes, connect your mind, body, and your spirit, and then take that and listen to that connection. Good. So before anything that we do in this world that's going to be meaningful to us, we have to spend time in the quiet center. It's a quiet inner place, and it's actually where the truth begins to reveal itself to you. You don't have to hear it physically. Everybody's looking for something to happen or listening. Just keep living. You will do the things. You will crave the food you need to crave without going, well, I need a list. No, don't need the certainty. Don't need it. Just sit in that quiet place and let the truth reveal itself to you. And the next thing you know, you will find yourself doing things like eating the right things. And even though they're delicious, it's still right. But when you sit in that quiet thing, that quiet center, what happens is you stop performing for who you need to think that you need to have to be to impress people. You don't have to impress. You are always your best, but you got to trust life and believe. But you got to trust life and believe in you. So when you let yourself feel what's actually happening inside of you, that's when you know sitting is working. You don't have to look for any big gargantulas to come out of the world. But like you heard in the reading, Ruby was saying the quiet center is a place where you're not trying to be spiritual or you're not trying to earn approval. Too many people are so busy trying to earn approval. And that's why you can't get your stuff together on your own. See, Carl Jung, again, my main man, because I like psychology. I mean, I love psychology because the mind is powerful. But Carl Jung taught that elevating your consciousness is really not about adding more practices. Oh, you don't have to do all of that. But it is about subtracting something. And what is it about subtracting? Like we said in the reading, the patterns that keep us from operating from that fear and ego place, and also the conditioning that we are operating through. As it stands, so many people were taught to be kind for a payoff. And that has nothing to do with them being authentic. They said, they told me to smile when I come out, or when I was a kid, they said, share your toys. And I don't teach my children that you must share your toys and you have to be kind, because that's so unreal and unauthentic. Then you make these so many of these adults that you look around and say, ew, that was very fake. People are waiting for approval, and they want to be accepted, and they want to be rewarded. Let's stop that merry-go-round for ourselves. People were taught to help everyone and let them take care of them, take care of everybody else. And then you'll be seen as valuable and so noble. That's worthy of attention, right? Yeah. But who do you lose when you're doing that? Hmm. Now, Carl Jung, he practiced this thing called active imagination. I was just studying more about him and uh, Joe Dispenza. Well, I'll tell you about Joe in a minute. But Carl Jung did this thing called active imagination. Okay, I keep saying it, but it's the same stuff that I'm telling you, but he gives it a title, so I want to use it. Here's what makes this thing so interesting. All you do is sit in your quiet center and you strike up a conversation in a conscious dialogue. But people are so embarrassed about doing that. But I'm telling you, that is fantastic. And see, when you strike up this conversation, the conversation is between you and your psyche. And you have your psyche, but stop ignoring it. So you may ask it, what are you trying to do? Well, how are you protecting me by keeping me broke? That's a good question, because I remember that question some 15, 20 years ago. I remember it very well. And you know what? It didn't say, this is what I want. What I started doing was becoming bolder, was moving around more, because inside that psyche was pushing me. And I wasn't sitting back on it every time it gave me motivation or gave me an idea to do anything. You get it? So there's certain things that you have to do also to listen to that voice, give it the voice, and allow it to do it. And then you might get an inkling. And I used to tell people, write it down. See, because giving this psyche a voice and writing down the conversation you had with it, your hand is moving or you're typing and your mind is thinking about getting the right words on there. But see, when you're doing all of that, writing down things and listening to this voice that you are, it's you. What you do is you strip away that invisible power that's over you. Whatever that power is that's holding you down and you allowing it to, give that psyche a voice so it can get you going and you can get going with it and stop laying around talking about, maybe not today. I want to do that. You know what I mean? See, people were taught to shape themselves into things, like the thing called an amoeba, they can shape themselves, or that iguanas thing that colors itself to whatever the environment, whatever the people are. People are taught to shape themselves into whatever version of themselves they need to be liked. Are you getting that? And that's damaging to your own spiritual health. So that's why you don't need to add more practices, even though practices are nice to add. But if you still that old version, what are you doing? And I was like that, because many, many years ago, I used to say, I asked myself, do I really feel authentic? Sometimes I didn't. I learned that that was how most of my patterns had developed. The patterns that people create, meaning everybody that's listening to the things that they were taught, and instead of letting go to things that they were taught, they want to keep on the old virtues that they thought you should work. They don't. You think they should, but they don't. So here's the thing. What they do is they keep repeating the same emotional frequency over and over because they are in so many different patterns. And you know, there are so many patterns. You heard that. What Groovy was saying, the need to be good. I say the need to be a good person right now. Oh, you know, you think that if you be a good person, you're going to heaven, if you will, or whatever. You got a reward. Okay. You don't have to be a good person all the time, by someone else's standards. You could be a good person and tell somebody where to go with that nonsense they're throwing at you. That's not a good person to sit there and go, okay, no. And then you got this compulsion. That's another pattern. That's one pattern. You got this other pattern, the compulsion to help everyone. Oh, you look like you need help. I used to be that way too, until I said, stop it. I will not do that anymore because it doesn't work unless the person asks me. And I was really legitimately concerned for that person, but they don't care. And then I got this other pattern that I remember breaking, the attachment to being understood. Well, I need to tell you, this is why, and stop explaining so much about what you do and why. It's not necessary because you're wasting a lot of your time and your energy just trying to tell somebody how you are. And then here's another piece. Oh, I love this part about the reading. We project onto other people what we think they might be. That's another pattern. Oh, we know everything. And here's the thing. You might be looking at somebody and they're saying something and your mind says something. Oh, really? Maybe she feels inadequate. How do you know how this person feels? Right? But see, this is what Carl Jung said about all those patterns. He showed that these patterns are not signs of goodness. They're merely signs of conditioning. Everybody has a certain amount of conditioning, but it's up to everyone to change it and recondition themselves. But if you're not willing to do that or don't know how to do it, I suggest you really look hard to getting into that. Because you see, many people, maybe you have, and maybe me, but I'm already I'm over it. People were convinced that if they played a role well enough, this role that they thought they'd be, they were going to receive a reward someday. And some of you know what I'm talking about, and some of you maybe not, because you might not have had the same upbringing. We probably didn't, because a lot of us had different ways of looking at this God figure that we called it. But many people live to this day for approval, for validation, and for attention. And all you need is your own approval, validation, and attention by sitting in the quiet center. Because those patterns that we were taught to develop don't bring us any connection to people. They just bring you to exhaustion. They keep you living on this false version of yourself that you built for mere survival. Now, when you live as a false version of yourself, you cannot vibrate and receive a match to who you truly are. Because who you truly are, you're wearing a mask all those years, and you really are hiding the version of you that needs to get that particular thing. So you're getting the crappy stuff because you're acting with the crappy attitude and behavior. So you can't experience the happiness that belongs to you because you're living some other version, but it's not your true version. And you're hiding your true version. Again, I want to say that mask once again, because the mask is how people hide their authentic self because they're fearful of being judged, that nobody's going to like this version of me. So I better do this. But who cares what people like about you? But when these false visions of you fall away, even a tiny bit, guess what happens when some of them fall away? Something new happens in you. And you become up with a different way of living and approaching life. So here's the thing, authenticity comes forward or unfolds or comes out the minute you stop being good for a payoff. And now here's the thing, a payoff is like this. It makes you feel good to think that somebody said, oh, I like Rosedale. She's so nice. And that's a payoff sometimes to people like, oh, really, they like me, huh? Right? No. But some people think. So what happens? When authenticity comes from forward, you stop feeling that you want to get this payoff. That payoff don't matter anymore. You stop being that false self and become your true self. And self-trust. I trust life. Life is you. You are life. You are spirit. You are all of that. And you believe in you. But self-trust comes about when you stop needing to be understood and you stand in your own clarity. See, clarity comes about when you stop projecting out there what the potential is and see what's real. And what do I mean by projecting potential? For example, it's when I let my consciousness show me what's already possible, show me what's already alive, and also show me what's already unfolding, because it's happening already. And what I love about Joe Dispenza is, if you will, he pulls us out of that physical trap. If you understand this point, you will get a lot more information today. That physical trap that everybody's into, they think that they can change their world by mere physical behavior. You cannot change problems. You can't change physical problems for purely by using purely physical actions or behaviors. You have to change your energy. And that's sitting in that quiet center. So he points it out exactly to us where we need to go. He said, you need to go straight to the quantum field. And what are we talking about? Sitting in the quiet center. So you have to take your focus away from your physical conditions, your bills, your past, your identity. You got to take yourself away from that. Sit in the quiet center. Now, sit is just not a literal word, because sit, I can be in the quiet center while I walk in this beautiful sun, which I did yesterday. I love it. I needed to dry my hair. I washed my hair, so I needed to dry it, so I walked. Didn't feel like sitting here under the dryer, right? But I'm still sitting in the quiet center. But see, what happens is when you go make that move to go outside, you got to keep doing that. If it takes you more than 5 minutes, then let it take you. But you have to do that until you drop those frantic states that you're in, those frantic states that just cause you to make these random, crazy, you know, error things. Because what happens is that frantic thinking, after you keep sitting there, all of a sudden comes into this creative, calm state. And all kinds of random calmness comes out of you. And I've experienced it countless times. Now, let's talk about that doubt that we just a little bit again, like last week. See, doubt is usually the signal to you that your old identity is dissolving. And we see that's the ego kind of like, but I don't want to change. And so the doubt shows up when your mask starts to slipping and you start to showing yourself. And the ego starts going, wait a minute. So now you start to let it go and it starts to lose its power. The mask and the doubt starts to lose its power, right? But then the doubt shows up when the old pattern, this is the real deal right here, when the old pattern cannot hold you anymore. Now you got to wonder, am I doing the right thing? Because when doubt appears, it's not telling you to stop. Remember, divine is doubt is divine. And it's not telling you to stop. It's telling you to stop performing from the false version of yourself. It's telling you that the false version of you is losing its grip. You should be smiling. That's what doubt is doing. So when you take enough time to get into your quiet center, you got to stay curious. Remember, we talked about curiosity all the time. You got to ask, what role am I playing right now? Because I got to figure out where I'm at. Why am I coming off? And why are they coming off at me? And why am I coming off at them? And then you might want to know this here. Well, what payoff am I still looking for from people? Because maybe that payoff is played out. I need to do something else. Maybe you don't want to let go of that old version of you because you're living in the place where you like payoff and the payoff is like habitual to you. But see, you deserve so much better. That's what you need to think about when you ask yourself, what am I afraid to release? Stay curious, because there are more questions that you need to ask yourself all the time. You got to ask, what is this truth trying to do, trying to reveal? What is it trying to reveal to me? And then you got to know this. Which version do I need to be so I can step into that manifestation? Because I've been doing this for too many years. But see, you thought, like Carl Jung said, you don't need to add practices. You need to keep working that quiet center and keep working it and letting go. But see, what happens is you can't get that manifestation because you can't let go of that version of you that's not able to receive it, to not able to pick it up. Not that you're not going to be worthy of it, because you're always worthy, but you can't pick it up in the vibration that you're living in. So you have to be a match to the outcome that you're expecting. And you have to always expect something. See, Carl Jung said that you don't evolve by being a good person. You just don't. You can be the best person acting, because you're acting. You got the mask on. Oh, I'm going to be good, but inside I'm killing. I'm dying inside. That's, you got to really find out. Is this real? Is this the real version of me that I want to get that manifestation through? Because what happens is when you do all of that, you just step into what serves you and stop holding on to what no longer serves you. Let that go. See, the version of you that you will be matching, that's what's going to unfold the minute you stop being the version that keeps you away from your peace. You unfold when you stop chasing approval. No more chasing. Remember that song said, I trust life? Because you can come into clarity the minute you stop trying to shape yourself into somebody else's world so they can give you validation. And then you begin to unfold now, because now you're starting to feel your real version and you don't even care, because you decide, I am no longer built for somebody else's comfort. I'm built for mine. I saw this the other day when I was sitting and I was in my quiet center. It just clearly said, I said clearly, people are not being the true versions of themselves. And I don't know who I was thinking about. I just said that because I just feel that. Because I said, but the thing is, they just need to, maybe I was getting together one of the sessions I was doing, but you just here's what I said. You just need to teach people about the quiet center. And that's what got me going. Because see, here's the example of me sitting in the quiet center. The quiet center can be me sitting in the quiet center, or me walking around in the beautiful sun or whatever, or me coming back to my waking state from the sleep state, from that night and of the sleep until the morning. So this is the thing, as I'm moving from the physical realm into the spiritual realm, or from the spiritual realm into the physical realm, I know each and every time where I'm at with it. You have to know where you are, but it's sitting in the quiet center that helps you learn who and when and how you're moving. But if you don't take time to learn it, you can't allow yourself to experience the things you want to experience because you're stuck in that old version of you. And I'm always thinking that this is so interesting when I see me coming back and the things that I'm saying on the way back, or things that I'm seeing. So like Tuesday morning, some things I remember because I remember I write it down, but if I don't write it down, then I remember. But I remember this one clearly. Tuesday morning, I was looking at a screen on my mind that showed me some files, and these files was going to help me determine my heart rate because I want to go and help other people. So I always test me first. So that's what I remember that I think I was doing. But anyway, I was talking to someone or some people, but you know what I realized? All of those people that were there in this presence was all of the different types of me. And I was like, oh, wow. And I was so amazed by all these different people. But I thought that I was talking to an assistant who was going to do this for me. And I was saying, well, which one should I use to determine this thing? I don't even know if it was truly the heart rate, but I knew it was something I wanted to know to use. But here's what I realized, that I was giving this to somebody to do for me, but it was me doing it for me. But I said to whatever beings that were present in that moment, well, again, which one do I choose? But I was like so lofty about it, like I wasn't worried about it. I said, well, just choose that one and I figured it out. I didn't even care which one. I don't even know which one I pointed at, and whoever it was just took care of it. So, in other words, that's my oneness with spirit. That's the other one, the version of me that says, you want that? I got you. Be that. So I can figure it out. So I just said to it, I'll figure it out. So this is what I think came out of that, me talking about I figured out. Because I obviously am no longer what I was 20 years ago when I was always afraid that something wouldn't be easy. I always thought something was hard. I had a lady just one week, the following week, just past week, the first week she was telling me how hard everything was. And I did this whole thing with her mind, body, and moved her body that first session. When she came back, I didn't even tell her that. She started saying, that's easy. That's easy. She applies herself. She hears. She's spirit to spirit talking with me. So what I'm saying is, in summation of all of this stuff, it's all spirit. You can think all you want, it's all fixed. I need to physically fix this. I can't fix nothing in the physical, nothing. But what's interesting is that the actual thing about what seemed less important about behind all of this was the trust that I had. I trust life. So I said, just use that one. I don't care. I got it. You see? So the message wasn't about me knowing which app to use, which physical thing to use. It was about me moving forward without needing complete certainty. And then I figured out the certainty. I don't need to know whether or not I'm going to do what I need to do. All I need to do is just continue creating my plan of what I'm going to do and going to these beautiful places and representing myself, looking good and sharp and knowing what I'm talking about. And I don't need to figure it out. I don't need to have any certainty whether or not this is going to work. And then, you got these people who are still going around saying to you, why do I keep attracting the wrong type of partner? Why do I keep not being able to break the ceiling of my income? But here's the truth. The universe is not testing people. There's no such thing as that. It's matching you. You keep hearing me say it. It's matching you. If you got that inner frequency that's saying, I gotta prove I'm worthy, because I gotta keep explaining who I am to everybody, you're gonna attract people that give you the opportunity constantly to explain to me, to explain yourself. You're gonna always have to prove yourself. And then you have to understand, and don't get too frustrated with life, because life is not here to frustrate you either, because you are the perfect match to what you have. You don't get what you want. You get who you are. You're getting exactly what you have been practicing. And if you've been practicing nothing, what does nothing from nothing leave? So here's the thing. You got to take responsibility for your spiritual life. Don't just add practices, but also realize that you aren't a victim of your circumstances. You're not. You are the architect of your frequency. And listen, some people talk about that higher income. If you want to be that person that receives that higher income, then you got to get down and sit down with your skills and get your stuff together. You think I'm just going to go out there and don't know what I'm going to do and expect somebody to pay me? Do you think I'm going to go out there and not give money to organizations or people and think that I'm supposed to get it? No. The only reason why you don't feel worthy of getting money is because you don't give it and you don't think you should get it either. I'm saying you're getting your match, but you have to match. You have to be a match to that person that already holds that income and lifestyle you want. You got to be a match to them. You can't have certainty. You got to know, I trust, I believe. That's the song. I'm teaching it. Remember, I said that in the beginning, something like that. You have to sit with yourself in the quiet center. When you settle into your quiet center several times a day, it should be more than once or twice a day. Something stronger begins to come up, unfold in you. And I'm not talking about that survival mode that you live in, always trying to do, which is fight or flight. I'm talking about that parasympathetic, that calm, that you eliminate that frantic feeling. So that's the sound of the quiet center. And that's when you turn into your power. Because let me tell you this truth right here, and this you can take this to the bank. There are vibrations around you right now. And if you're not acting that way, they won't land here on you. They're going to land on that person who's acting in that way to receive it. So don't be mad at them because they got something you don't have. Because see, their vibrations all around you just waiting for a place to land. And if you're not, it's going to move away from you, but it's not going to be like you're being punished. It's not that you don't deserve it. You don't go out and find life. You just sit there and make yourself a match to those vibrations. Then this is what happens. Soon as you start making yourself this match, your ego is going to start screaming. Because first of all, it's going to go, wait, I'm not being the good person anymore, so I'm not getting rubbed. You got to rub my ego. Come on. Oh, I'm not the helper anymore. Well, then who am I? There's your ego. There's your doubt. But you got to know, nobody is going to bring you anything. You got to bring it. And then the ego is going like this. Well, nobody's going to like that version. What are you trying? It's because it's used to being like laid back. I'm going home and rest. No, I used to say that. It's the most ridiculous thing I could say. Resting is not going to do it. But no, don't get it wrong now. You do need to rest if rest is necessary. That's part of life. But I'm just saying every day, just laying around, That is discomfort. That's an example of discomfort when you just lay around. You're not comfortable and you're not caring to make you comfortable. Okay? So, but it's not a sign that you lost your way. It's just the divine doubt waking you up. So when you hear yourself saying crazy things like, wait, don't do that now. That's crazy. That's just the friction of your old patterns that we talked about rubbing against your new frequency. And if you let it win, you'll be back in that same boat again next week. When you look in the mirror and you don't recognize that old version of you, that old tired version of you, yourself anymore, celebrate. See, because you're doing what it takes to know what you need to know so you can go where you need to go. So this week, just pay attention to the quiet center when you need it. Don't do another doggone thing. Pay attention to the quiet center. Just sit down and shut up your mouth and stop trying to get up and doing all these things because you got to spend more time in it. The quiet center is waiting for you to listen to it. It's like asking you because the quiet center is you. I want your attention, Groovy. I want your attention, Alan. I want your attention, Horace. I want your attention, Robert. I want your attention, Melissa. So I can help you unfold. But if you want to go out there and continue running around, go ahead. I'll be here when you get back. Listen for the truth and what it wants to reveal to you. Pay attention. Honor the version of yourself that is ready to step into alignment. See, when you dishonor the version of yourself, that means that you did not get home and decide you're going to do the extra work you said you was going to do. You got home and went to bed, or you got home and just closed out. Well, that's not a thing to do because what you do, once you did that, you just released that identity, the old identity, the version of you that doesn't work, that wants approval. You just release that one and you just, oh, well, here I am again, world, just like me. But see, then when you step into that new version of you, you start that you find your happiness because there are mornings now for no reason whatsoever. I don't even remember what that conversation was about, but it's always a conversation. Always, you might not know it, but you're always in conversation. But anyway, I just started smiling one morning for no reason. And I like that. You don't need a reason. It is not silly, you know? So just remember what Carl Jung said. I always remember that. He said, in order to elevate your consciousness, you don't need to add practices. You need to release patterns, the patterns of all these good people things you need to think that you need to be. Because what we need to do is elevate that consciousness. And that's when we get to do the best for ourselves. But you see, the elevation of consciousness begins in the quiet center. That's where it begins. And that's the version of you in the quiet center that knows its own power. Our giving is the same process that everything I'm talking about today is. It's all about that quiet center. So thank you for supporting what supports you. This community exists because we participate and we are unfolding together with it. And our support keeps this community alive so it can keep supporting you. So every gift we receive here is an observation. It's a way of saying, I believe in this field and I believe in my own growth. And that's what we're saying. So give today, and you'll be given to the energy that lives in this space. Period. Dot. So thank you for strengthening how the quiet center works through your giving. And also, thank you for listening to the Quiet Center and how to work it in your life. So just have a great rest of your week, but take more time in the Quiet Center. So, as we wrap up this session, remember this: you got to go to the quiet center when the mind gets loud and the ego's going, whoa, 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 and the divine doubt is telling you so much, because you got to go there and return to the truth. But am I supposed to? No, the prayer work. Okay, got it. And you stand in your quiet center, right? And this is the beautiful part about it. When you stand in your quiet center, you understand that there is nothing forced, there is nothing that is missing. There's the truth that's settled. So, as we wrap up our time together, everybody, remember the quiet center, and remember it can be visited constantly. The quiet center means that choosing the version of you to match is powerful, and it's going to help you do that. And your manifestations and all of the things you desire is what you are really receiving. And the more consistently you sit in that quiet center, the easier it is to come back to it and understand more and more about it. So the quantum field is always supporting you in that area, in that quiet center. So until we meet again, visit the quiet center a lot this week and carry yourself forward for the rest of the week. And so it is.